That was a perspective from Mora County. Now we're going west to the Navajo Nation. Fracking is taking place around the reservation, and we looked at fracking and other oil and gas development around Chaco Canyon a few months ago here on New Mexico in Focus. And you can find that link to that coverage on our website, newmexicoinfocus.org. Sarah Gustavus also sat down last month with two community advocates from the Navajo Nation to hear their concerns about fracking.
I'm sitting down today with Sarah White and Victoria Gutierrez, both with Diné Care, Citizens Against Ruining the Environment. You're both working on the ground, talking to people in your communities on the Navajo Nation. Victoria, what are the main concerns you're hearing right now, specifically when it comes to fracking?
When it comes to fracking is the safety of the water, the safety of the water for the communities, and also the traffic in the area. With the trucks, with the exhaust and everything. It's just, there have been a lot of accidents out that way because of the continuous truck traffic. And it's a main highway, and there's a lot of signs as you go through eastern Navajo, and it's, telling you to, watch out for the traffic and this and that. But there's been a lot of accidents out that way for community people and travelers alike.
And Sarah, how long has this been going on, fracking? How long has it been an issue?
The drilling and the oil drilling and the fracking has been going on. There's always been oil drilling in the eastern for years that I remember. I don't know how many years, but for years, But in the last year or so, it has really gotten worse. The fracking and the drilling and the flaring and just boom. And so that became a problem. The traffic became a problem. The flares became a problem. All this heavy traffic in the area and the roads all over the land, even roads where never used to be roads, or now there's wide graded roads and dust. So this all became a problem. It's too noisy. It's just not the same anymore.
Victoria, tell us a little bit about how maybe people were offered money individually to allow fracking on their lands, and what does that mean for the conversation about this issue?
The people that were offered money, and how does that, well, the people that were offered money were private landowners and Alatis, Navajo Alatis in the area. The problem that has is they do have a right to sell their lease for the fracking and for the pipeline, the proposed Pinion pipeline that's going to be wants to go through there. But the problem with that is there's a lot of what we call have and have-nots in the area. There's a lot of people that have, they're living right next to the fracking wells and the sites and the, and they have no say-so on their lease. They have no say-so on whether or not they want that by their home. But the ones that signed off on the lease are, kind of living high on, and they.
So you're saying maybe the neighbors near where the people who did agree to that.
There's a lot of people in the area because the whole area of Eastern Navajo is checkerboard. It's BLM and state land and private and Alati land, and so there's a lot of different laws for each one, and it makes it very complex and makes it very hard, especially for the people living on those lands. Because you may live right next to BLM land and they have fracking there and they did the leases there. Like I spoke with some people that were out there, and they complained about how there's, like Sarah was saying, there's a lot of roads impromptu everywhere, just popping up, and there's constant traffic, and a lot of them are losing livestock, and livestock grazing areas because BLM just went straight through there and they claimed right away. But
BLM is tribal land.
No, BLM is BLM land.
Bureau of Land Management, federal government.
Yes.
Yeah, and so they signed off on the lease, so the people that live right next to them, and it's almost less than half a mile, is what you're dealing with. And it's just like you could walk right over. And that's how close these lands are, and the differences. And then right next to the BLM land, you have Alati land. And some Alatis have have right-of-ways to sign off. They have ownership to sign off on leases. And a lot of times on these leases, you have anywhere from 7 to 1,000 people on one lease. But if close to half of those people sign off on a lease to sign off for fracking or the wells or drilling or the pipeline, then it's a go. And the other half are just kind of stuck with it, you know. And I think that's the problem with out there, because a lot of people want it and a lot of people don't.
And Sarah, what are your concerns? You have children and grandchildren, and looking at the big picture of the land and the water in the future, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about the whole picture. It's a whole picture in front of me in the future. My main concern is health. The next generation. I have grandchildren, and I have children. And not only that, the children, everybody's children, the new generations, they have, right now, they're healthy, they're young. No. I think about what kind of water are they going to drink in the next 50, 100 years from now. And a lot of people say, well, it has to come down to that. The earth is getting old, just like every one of us. So what are you going to do about it? This is what I hear from some of the people. But it's our job to protect the earth. It's our job to protect the water, the environment, the air. The air is getting contaminated. The water is getting contaminated. The earth, the soil is getting contaminated. So is everything else on it. And we need a clean environment. We all deserve a clean environment in order to live a healthy life, in order for our children to live a long, healthy life and enjoy how they want to live. And I don't think it's fair that we're destroying everything for them. And how many thousand babies are going to be born today?
What changes do you want to see specifically on fracking in your area?
Stop the fracking.
Victoria, is there any scenario where a lot of people say this is valuable economic development for members of the Navajo Nation, for other people in that part of the state? What's your response to that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say, you know, that it's economically viable. You know, not only for the San Juan Basin, but for the Navajo Nation. But the inequity of both is very apparent when it comes to how much the state is paid, considering to how much the Navajo Nation is paid per, and it's just the fact that one's on sovereign land and one's not. But I think that, you know, I think people really have to realize, and they really, when the money's gone, what are you going to be left with, pretty much? What are your families going to be left with? Because, you know, these leases, they've been in people's families for generations upon generations, like my mom. My mom's an Alati, and she's an heir to an allotment. And her family's been living on that land for a long time, and just like everybody else's. What is going to happen when you destroy the land? You not only have to think about, okay, you may be getting anywhere from $5,000 to $500,000, give or take, or more, or less. But where are you going to be at when that money's gone? Where's your land going to be at, and where's your lives going to be at? Well, how's like Sarah was talking about, how's the next generation and then the one after that? You got left with an heired allotment. What are you going to leave your next generation? What are they going to leave their next generation? Is there even going to be anything out there viable to live on in the next generations to come? to give something to.
Would you like to see specific policy changes from, say, the BLM?
Yes.
What do you want to see?
Right now they're working on an amendment for the 2003 RMP.
What is that?
The Resource Management Plan. And right now they're running off, they don't have no horizontal drilling in the plan. They don't have, right now it's supposedly exploratory, but there's upwards of 300 wells that are getting approved out there, and we would like a cease and desist, a moratorium out there for any existing wells and fracking and pipeline. You know, because there's a proposed pipeline that's going through the area, and the problem with that is there's a lot of environmental justice issues with that, because it's going from one side of Eastern to the other. But you know, people are complaining, and us, there's a lot of traffic with the trucks. But at the same time, if you get a proposed pipeline in, I mean, it's going to be 10 times full, because the amount of crude oil they're going to want to dredge up to go through those pipelines, you know, and a lot of those pipelines go through areas where people are suffering from uranium issues.
You both are community organizers. What are you hearing from tribal leaders, elected officials in the Navajo Nation right now?
The tribal leaders, well, we just had a change of tribal administrations. We got a new president, and there's new administrations, and we're hearing some positive plans from that end, and hoping that, you know, this time around that we have some help. Before that, we didn't have any help. Our tribal leaders have just went ahead and give the right of way to the corporations. And that goes for everything else, like the coal and the oils, and, you know, it's for the revenue for the Navajo Nation. But actually, I say we don't benefit from it. We don't. I don't. So hopefully this time they have a better plan in place. And with the new EPA of the Navajo Nation, hopefully they have a better plan in place for all this mess.
Certainly not over. We will check in with you again in the future. Thank you both for coming in to sit down with us today.
Thank you.